welcome back to the Franchise Growth Show, the go-to source for hearing directly from franchise brands and founders who are actually building scalable, headline-making businesses. I'm your host, Joe Carter, and on this show, we don't just talk theory. We break down real models, real numbers and systems that turn revenue into transferable value. And today's conversation is especially timely. I saw a statistic online that the senior population of age 75 and older in both the US and Canada is projected to grow on over 111% between now and 2034. That's not a trend, that is a structural shift. And while most entrepreneurs chase crowded categories, today's guest leaned into the space that's underserved, emotionally meaningful, and built for long-term demand. Craig Jooste is helping scale Genie Senior Services, a mobile, low-overhead senior transition brand that has already completed, I'm pretty sure this number is way north of this now, over 5,000 family transitions, expanding rapidly in Canada and already started U.S. growth as well. The business is built on trust, systems, and compassion without the drag of retail space, heavy overhead, or bloated staffing. So if you're looking to build a service brand and exploring franchising, or just looking to scale into something that actually matters, this episode is for you. Craig, thank you for being on. Welcome to the Franchise Growth Show.
Awesome, Joe. Thanks so much for having me. Excited to be here and share our story and answer some questions and just talk to people and connect on what Genie Senior Services is doing and what our plans are for the future.
Amazing. So I know, as I just mentioned a moment ago, and that statistic might be slightly off a little bit, but senior transition is an exploding category. So what made you realize, kind of take us back to the origin story maybe a little bit, what made you realize this model was needed and ready to franchise?
Absolutely. So that number is 7,000 now for transitions. It's growing quickly. So the company was founded by Norm Hayes. He started Genie Senior Services in a small town, part of Vancouver, Canada, but in Langley. And my wife and I met Norm a number of years ago, and he approached us and said, I'm a single unit operator. I love the idea of franchising. You guys have done this before. My wife and I worked at 1-800-GOT-JUNK. We also launched and founded a handyman company that we grew across Canada and then sold and exited. And we were really looking for something that had that heart part in it, but also business. And the more we talked to Norm, the more we looked at the demographic, the silver tsunami that was coming in, and that this was very different to the home care space, which is very crowded. We said, hey, Norm approached us and said, do you guys want to do this with me? And my wife and I said, let's think about it. This was on a Friday night. Saturday morning, Ver and I had chatted, and it's like, this is the perfect time, the perfect space. Called and said, let's do this. Partnered 50-50 with Norm. And then we brought the franchising aspect to the business, how to build out the systems and how to do multi-unit and, all the stuff that franchisors will talk about. And Norm brought the passion for the brand, the passion for seniors, the operational side of the business, like how do you downsize a senior? How do you pack, move, and unpack with using really good people, bedside manner that surpasses just the standing, moving experience. And with that, we turned Norm's his location into the first franchise. We sold that. We then very quickly sold out British Columbia, sold out Alberta. And then this year we ended up doing a master franchise, so an area developer deal in Ontario. An amazing group. They've already had a master franchise with another brand, so we knew their pedigree and what they could achieve. And it's quite astounding. We partnered with them, and since September 2nd of this year, so in the last 13 weeks, we've added 23 territories, which is wild. So we're now using that same model in the States. We've actually just finished with an area developer deal that's just getting papered for Arizona. And now our Ontario folks are looking at the Northeast because they're like, this is pretty good business, pretty good time to be in it. We'd like to be a part of it with you guys. And so we have some big plans, but the business has been unbelievable. You know, when you and I chatted prior to this, I really believe in this heart and business. The business side, sometimes, you know, you can be in a business that can suck your soul, but it might be really good money, but you're just doing it for the money. You can sometimes be in a business that's all heart, but you end up just being a charity, and it's not really a very good business on the unit economic side. And with this, we really believe we have that unicorn that gives the fulfillment of getting that hug from the senior and the thank you for taking away their stress. And at the same time, looking at unit economics, it blows away anything I've been a part of before. And so we feel we have something really special in a special time. And we're looking forward to 2026 for sure, based on where 25 is ending.
I love it. I love it. And 25 sounds like it's ending with a bang. Congrats on that. 23 territories in 13 weeks. That's phenomenal, man. Congrats on that. I know the statistic might have, moved slightly north of this number, but 111% projected growth in the senior population over the next basically decade. So what does that mean for a franchisee stepping into that space right now? Because obviously there's current demand, but it sounds like there's a tremendous amount of growth too.
Yep. So we look at it and it's prime time. It's the next 10 to 15 years is prime time. When you look at, so for us as a business, we build relationships with retirement residences that are also booming, right? They're building new facilities, and it's not our great-grandparents' facility that you go to and you're sitting in this dark little room and it's people getting dragged out of their houses to go there. These are retirement resorts. People are paying $5 to $10K a month to be there. Vancouver, there's one location, they drive their residents around in Bentleys, no joke. And it is unbelievable experience for them. So when we're dealing with customers, they're looking at downsizing from their house. It's, they bought the house 40 years ago for $80K. It's now worth $1.5 million, $2 million. They've had their kids there, the grandbaby. So there's this emotional connection to stuff in the home. And the magic on the Genie side is, so we do the whole move and pack, which is actually rare for downsizers. Normally they outsource that, but we believe in controlling the whole experience. So we can come in, we do a consult, we take you through how to downsize and kind of rid yourself of some of the bigger stuff. During our packing, we downsize you even further. Hey, you don't need 18 pots and pans, maybe you only need 4. And it's a systematic approach of how we take someone through a stressful time, even though they're excited to go to this retirement resort. It's still a stressful time in that transition. We take that away for them, right down to the end where it's like, what stuff is left, and we can help you with that as well. So, I always, being in franchising for the last almost 25 years, you always go back to like the McDonald's, and they have the mayo gun and the ketchup gun and the patty from the certain supplier, and that's how a Big Mac tastes the same in Boston as it does in LA or Toronto or Vancouver. And so we believe to give that same experience through our franchise partners to a retired person, senior, we have to control all aspects of it, and that's what makes us different. But I can tell you, to your point, I think it's 65,000 people are turning 65 plus every week in North America, and people don't need massive houses anymore. Like if you look at, you needed the big TV room with the big projection TV in the 80s and 90s. Now someone's on an iPad, right? So they don't need as much space, one. Two, this do-it-for-you culture is I'd rather be somewhere where I can enjoy my time with family and everyone else than having to mow the lawn or taking care of whatever. And so I think we're just in this amazing space, not only on the senior side, even 55 plus communities. It's something we're starting to look at because there's way larger 55 plus communities in the States than there are in Canada. But think about, on a strategic level for us, we're working with seniors, we're helping them, and then if we get into the 55 plus market, that becomes a vertical that feeds into them being the next set of seniors. So now we're talking about the next 30 years. And so it's a very interesting space to be in, and we're not in home care or nursing, which is it's been a very popular space, but it's also, it's really crowded, where our space is not. So yeah, so we're excited about the whole silver tsunami that's already arrived, and to help seniors at the end of the day. I mean, we have happy franchisees who are making money, making people happy. It's like, sometimes people don't believe the rainbows and lollipops, but it certainly feels that way right now for us.
Love it. And the senior tsunami, like, do you have that on a t-shirt? Because that sounds like a trademark thing right there. That's amazing.
We don't.
I'm writing that down.
That would be a really good graphic t-shirt, though.
I think we need to work on that together. We can trademark that thing right there. Your your model is mobile. It's low cost, very lean, truthfully. No leases, no storefront, very low overhead. Can you break down for our listeners what an owner, a franchisee's like day-to-day looks like?
Sure. Yeah, so absolutely low overhead. That's where the unit economics is amazing, right? You've got a low, your cost of goods, your labor, a little bit of fuel because it's all local moves, it's not long distance, and some consumables, which are very low. Makes that gross margin number very healthy. And then when you have low overhead, when you have a truck and trailer payment, a phone, we have all the tech and whatever's needed, but it's not a big number to carry versus bricks and mortar, leases, build outs, and all that type of stuff. So that part makes it great. For a franchise partner, what we look for are networkers and relationship builders. This business is built and predicated on building relationships with retirement residences, first and foremost. There's way more verticals we stack as someone grows from one truck and trailer to 2 to 3, etc. But at the beginning of it, it is networking with retirement residences. They become your lead source. Those leads convert at a very high clip because you're already really validated by them. Give Genie a call, they're awesome. And so really you're showing up and saying, mentally, we already have the move. Now, how do we take you through downsizing? What's all the stuff you have? Is some stuff going away? Is some stuff going into storage? Is some stuff, going to kids, etc.? But we work them through that. So a franchise partner's first role is building, hunting and farming, right? Getting new retirement residences for us to be their go-to. Every retirement residence, I got a guy. And it's like, that's cool. Can we be your other guy or gal? And when your other guy or gal is double booked or sick, we are scaling. So we're going to have multiple crews and multiple trucks that can help you. So we're not going to be double booked. And usually once they've used us once, we become the guy or girl. But a franchise partner builds those relationships. Once you have the relationships, you obviously farm them. So right now, with it being Christmas, a lot of our franchise partners are out at homes, dropping off flowers, cookies, all that type of stuff that it's such a simple business, and people always try and overcomplicate the crap out of stuff. But sometimes when you just keep it simple, what do we need? We need trifolds, we need business cards, we need nice people that are dropping things off. Can I take you for a coffee? Here's some cookies for the residents, all that type of stuff. That goes deep. So second to that, we have really good tech, and our CRM is really robust. But people always look and they go, oh, that's nice. We show up with a carbon copy book for an estimate, and we give our seniors paper. Why? Not because we're not sophisticated, because we understand who our client is and they like paper. At the end of the day, when you go home, hop on the CRM, you enter all the information, they get a fancy estimate and emailed and all the other stuff that goes with CRMs, but they have that piece of paper, which is your word, and it makes them feel good. So a lot of the things we do is what our clients need, not what we try to do to look fancy. So apart from building relationships, you're obviously out doing consultations. The consultation is winning the job, taking someone through the downsize, organizing the pack and move. Normally 2 to 3 packers will come in, they'll pack throughout a day. They'll work with Mr. and Mrs. Smith and, okay, do you need this? Maybe we can get less of this. Let's get a pile here, and it's this phase 2. Movers come in. We organize with the homes because you can't take elevators at lunchtime because it's not like a regular building where, okay, take the stairs. It's harder to say that to an 85-year-old. So all of that stuff is structured and planned to make it seamless. And for a franchise partner, normally they're in the business. We like them to be in the business. The good old Michael Gerber E-myth, be in the business and then let's pull you out so you can work on your business. If you haven't read the book, it's awesome. And so we like them to be in the business. You can't be BS'd if you've done it, right? So we're not asking a male or female franchise partner to be lifting an old 300-pound credenza. We're asking you to be at the move to understand what your people are doing, how they're going. And then what we naturally find is kind of like water takes the easiest path, is someone who's really strong at networking, their first lead person is probably going to be the production operator, right? The person that's driving the truck and trailer, managing the teams, and they're going to continue to network. People that are good at networking, but they maybe like the operational side more, their first hire is likely a salesperson, and who's going to go out and continue to hunt and farm. So it's building relationships with retirement residences, building your team, obviously building good culture. We have training systems, how to get past the gatekeeper, all the good old sales stuff. And then we want you out, as in not in the trenches, to start looking at scaling. Because being an emerging brand, there's this beauty of you can get in on the ground floor and we've already built skyscrapers. So it's pretty cool that we can say all of these big markets are available, yet you're working with people that have been in franchising forever. But because we're an emerging brand, it's all primary territories. Hence why we're really picky with who we bring on, because we don't necessarily want someone who just wants to drive a truck and trailer and buy a job. We want someone who wants multiple territories, who can see this business, who can scale it, who can add teams and grow it, because if we don't do that in primary markets, everyone's leaving money on the table. So I probably went a little bit all over the place there, but I hope that answered a little bit of what a franchise partner does in our business.
No, I love that. That's the level of detail that I know the audience wants to hear, so I appreciate it. Going to the tech piece for a minute, because a lot of investors are really looking at a tech stack of a brand as really a differentiator from one they may choose from one they may not. So I know your CRM system, it's not just basic scheduling, it's like a booking engine. It does invoicing, it does customer management, there's obviously reporting. Like, there's a lot into your CRM system, and for a mobile service brand, that's humongous. So how does that streamline the operations? Because I know you said you're going to leave a physical piece of paper when you're doing that consultation, but everything else is tech driven. So how does that streamline the ops for the franchisees?
So what we found the biggest challenge with a mobile business is being organized and knowing where all your communication is, right? Half people are gonna walk around and write things down, and then they get a text, and then they get an email, and then they get a phone call, and it's like, who the heck did I talk to? What was this? So when we picked our CRM, we wanted a tool that really communicates very well, pulls all the communication together, so it'll sync with emails and calendars, etc., on an external level. And then within that, once you're dealing with a customer within our CRM, everything, for the lack of a better term, is basically in a speech bubble. So the text, the email, the estimate, the calendar booking, the whatever, all lives in one space, so you can see the whole interaction with the client. It obviously, like a lot of other good CRMs, integrates with QuickBooks and Google Maps and automated emails and thank yous and give me a review, and from estimate to booking to the invoice to taking payment. There's also obviously credit card payments are integrated. But funny, in our business, I look at reporting. We just ran royalty reports today, and we are still at almost 80% payment by check, which is really rare. But look at who we're working with.
Look
right?
at who your customers are. Yeah.
Most credit card payments are the kids, like the mid-50s kids making a payment for mom or dad. The rest is at the end of the job. Like, our AR is 24 hours. Like, it's, here's your check, thank you for, and it's like paid, done, same day or next day. So there again, you're saving a couple of points on a profitability side because you're not running so much through credit cards. But yeah, the system's great, integrates well with everything. What I love about this business is, so the average ticket for us right now is about $3,300 system-wide for a pack and move. So if you're looking at a business, and this is not earnings claims, I'm not selling anyone a franchise on this, so I'm just going to preface with that. But if you look at a truck and trailer can do 15 to 18 moves easily without getting really deep into ops and making a little Jenga puzzle. When you look at that, that's a $500,000 a year business on a truck and trailer. When you have a smaller ticket size, like, you know, a repair business or whatever, and it's $300 per ticket, instead of doing 15 to 18 interactions, you're doing between 150 and 180. So that's the other part that I love about this business is the average ticket. So when you're talking to someone, this is a 3-4, our Vancouver Island franchise just landed a bigger job where it's a lot of clean out, like taking stuff in the trailer, and it's a $20K job. So, so the average ticket is great. The other part in this business that's super interesting too is lifetime value. So most people think it's one move, like you're taking Bob and Margaret from their house to their retirement residence. And that's the same with Kristen, my wife, what we thought when we partnered with Norm. But in actual fact, you can actually downsize someone from a house to a townhouse, then to a retirement residence. Then when they get to a retirement residence, the actual locations don't do inter-moves. So then we get a call from Bob and Margaret. We don't need a 2-bedroom unassisted. We're now going into a 1-bedroom. We move them again. Then unfortunately, Bob goes to the big guy. Now Margaret wants just an assisted room maybe, and we do that move. And right down to when she does her final move, then we can help with moving that other stuff on. So there's like 3, 4, 5 interactions with a customer. And when someone says, oh, your average ticket's $3,500, well, the lifetime value of that customer is more like 7, because you do a bigger move. The internal moves in homes are smaller, obviously, like $1,200-$1,500. But there's all these interactions and continued trust you build with these clients, and it's so important to them, right? So
I love it. I love it. And I know you mentioned earlier that y'all are really looking for like the master franchisee, somebody that's going to come in, create the one, but then ultimately go replicate it, right? So what or how can someone transition who's got to likely be an owner operator in the beginning, but ultimately need to elevate it to a GM or executive model? What does that pivot or transition look like from truck 1 to truck 10?
Right. So great question. So the one thing we do in our discovery period is we try and right size a market with someone's 5-year, 10-year goal. So we just did 4 territory deals in Ontario. And the reason they ended up buying 4 territories up front to lock in the market was we asked them, what's your end goal? So we can't, as a franchisor, we obviously can't make earnings claims, tell you what you're going to make and all the inclusions that we have to stick to. But we can say to someone, what is your goal? And if someone says, I want to make X amount of profit, and in my mind, I wouldn't say this to them, but I would go through the numbers and go, well, that's going to be X amount of trucks, that's going to be X amount of territory. We would recommend that if you want to grow to that, you're going to need more real estate, essentially. And here's your opportunity. So our franchise fees are $60K for the first, $50 for the second, $45 for the third and after, right? So you're saving a little bit and buying a multi-pack. But my main goal is not to get 60 or 200 grand out of a franchise partner up front. I could care less. Like if we have good people that want to buy 1 or 2, fantastic. Good people want to buy 3 or 4, fantastic. It's the long-term relationship we're looking for, but it's matching what they want to achieve with the territory. So right now we're not saying, hey, get one, and then when you're ready to be bigger, get whatever. We're saying, here's maybe, 1 million people in population, which would be 4 territories. You can go deep on this. We have mapping software that cross-references not only population, but retirement residences, retirement homes, etc. So that we can see how many there are. Are they our type of homes? Because we don't really work with government assisted. We're working with like people that have a little bit more cash from selling their house, and they're deciding, I'm going to live large for the next 15, 20 years, and my kids don't want my money. I'm going to spend it. I can't take it with me. So we really try in the discovery process to almost like set people up so they can go to that GM model, investor model. we've had some people approach us that have said, listen, I'm a VP at company XYZ, I want to do this, and we take them through. It's, you need to have someone that's 100% in the business, which means you need a general manager. We're going to treat that general manager like a franchise partner. They need to do the same training because they're going to be the face of the business, even though you're in the background building culture, etc. And you have to understand that whatever break-even ideas you had are going to be pushed back because you have this additional fixed cost in this person. And really, that's the only difference between an investor model and a non-investor model is sweat equity versus a little bit more capital intensive. But we're very clear on what we feel you would need based on your end goals on a revenue and business size. And then we're very clear on, if you want to do an investor model, you just need to be ready that you are going to have to hire a GM, and it's not like, Johnny fresh out of school. It is someone who is smart. They basically need to pass the franchise partner sniff test to be a part of the business. And part of that too is, and my wife's always said this, is we call it the barbecue test. So when we look for franchise partners, can we have you over to our house? Can we have everyone over to the house for a barbecue? And there's no weirdos standing in the corners. We don't all have to have the same football team, the same beliefs, but if we have the same morals, ethics, business drive, care for doing something good, we're good. And that's kind of our last, when we have a leadership team call with the candidates, kind of the last call we do. It's not about grilling anyone. It's not about selling anyone. I refuse to sell anyone. We will not drag anyone across the line. You have to run across it and sprint and be happy. My saying at the end of discovery calls are, when you go through our discovery process, you're either going to run away screaming or you're going to run towards us with open arms. And we don't actually want anything other than that. No half pregnant, right? You're not, or you are. So that's a big one for us, whether it's an investor model or a franchise partner operator.
I love that you walk your potential franchisees, your candidates, through almost a reverse engineering process of, this is where you want to be, let's backwards work you in of how to get you there, because that gives them a framework. And some people don't even recognize, they know what the number is, but they don't know how to get there. And the fact that you're helping them to figure those things out in between is fantastic. I love that. So,
and we're also not telling someone, sorry, I was just going to say, and we're also not telling anyone, if they really only need 2, we're not telling them to buy 4. Like, this is what we feel you would need to achieve what you're doing. We're not trying to squeeze another 90K out of you. Like, what's the point? I'd rather you have the right size market, the right capital, and then make this thing take off like a rocket ship versus being stuck in territory you're probably not going to develop anyway.
Yep, love that. I love that. We've talked about it a couple of times. Y'all's expansion, specifically in the last 13 weeks, has been phenomenal. So how do you project that out? What's next year look like? What's the next 5 years look like for Genie?
Yeah. So great question. So probably got some pretty good numbers here. We just had our exec team meeting on, what day is it today? Thursday. Tuesday. So we're looking at 55 locations by the end of 26, and by the end of 2030, knowing that certain markets won't be available, etc. Our goal's always been 100 plus. I think it's like 1 or 0.5% of franchisors make it to 100. It's kind of that magic number. So we still have a bit of space in Canada, so we're probably looking at another 7 franchise partners, now knowing that each can have multiple territories.
Sure.
But then in the US, we're looking at 37 in 26, just because it's 10 times the size of the market of Canada. And we're now getting traction. We've had some really good relationships with franchise broker groups. And some of them are just gelling with, I get what you guys are doing. I know some of the guys that are doing multiple deals with you, and that's just really validating the brand on the quality of candidates we're getting is unbelievable. I've never seen it before. Just the fit is like spot on, but we're really building relationships with really good brokers that know what we need. And so whomever they're putting in front of us, their candidate isn't surprised on what the hell is this. And we're not surprised with, oh, okay, you really should open a dog grooming business or whatever it is, right? So, so we have the 100 plus is absolutely our next 4-year goal. I think we're going to surpass it quite easily. I think what we're seeing at the end of this year and with 26 coming in, momentum creates momentum, right? So we're looking at, we've disclosed a couple of people in Texas. Well, Texas has the same population as Canada. It's crazy. But we look at that, it's like, wow, the opportunity. Our Ontario master franchise wants a big chunk of the Northeast. Without what they're doing right now, that just amplifies it. Same with Arizona. The markets there's probably have about 10 franchise partners in there with really good territory. But that's in the works right now, but then they're already looking at Colorado to expand there. So we've picked strategic partnerships with some master franchisees for us, or area developers. And then we're also looking, obviously, our big push right now is the Southeast, because Texas, Florida, Georgia, the Carolinas, big density of our customers, which means big density of people that want to help those customers. So that's been a lot of our focus. But obviously we have candidates. We have 2 for Omaha, Nebraska right now, which is interesting, but amazing people, and we'll see where that goes. But yeah, it's I think I've told the whole team, I said, I think you guys are all going to be quite shocked at the end of 26, because what's happening now is, I think, just going to continue pushing.
It's going to snowball. I mean, it's y'all are already far surpassing what I anticipated you would be doing in 25. So that only leads me to believe that you're going to do even better in 26 and beyond. So I'm right there with you. You're going to hit that magic 100 number likely sooner than you think. I think you probably will get there faster than 2030. So kudos to everything y'all done to this point to begin that process, and everything that you will continue to do to hit that number, and obviously well beyond it. So to kind of wrap us up, if someone was listening to this particular podcast and they're interested, they want to know more about Genie, how do they get in contact with your team?
Sure. Well, you can actually reach out directly to me. It's Craig at GenieSeniorServices.com. You can check us out at GenieSeniorServices.com. We've got a ton of information there. What I really love is we did a whole bunch of video shorts that's on our YouTube channel, Genie Senior Services, to get a sense of our people, our packers and movers, the type of people you'll be working with. So I'd highly recommend whoever's listening, if you want to see Norm, our business partner, cry. He cries very easily. There's a couple of videos of him crying. There's a couple of videos of franchise partners, and then all of our packers and movers. So I'd highly recommend that. But yeah, Craig at GenieSeniorServices.com, and I'd be happy to take someone through the discovery process. And it's not a sales process. It is a process of learning. And are we a fit for you? And are you a fit for us? And if you are, we're doing something pretty special.
I love that. All those social links that he just referenced are going to be in the comments. So scroll down and you'll have the hyperlinks take you right to them. Obviously, I'm here as well. If you got questions around Genie Senior Services, I'd be happy to navigate and help you through that discovery process, as I do with many other clients. So for anyone and everyone out there that's an investor, a founder, anything like that you're looking to build within the service brand industry, but looking for something with high trust and high heart, I think the biggest lesson that you just learned is this is the scalable model that will close that gap for you. Craig, this has been incredible. Thank you so much for being here and telling us about your brand. I'm excited about the growth you've already had, and I'm even more excited about the growth that is to come.
Awesome. Much appreciated, Joe. And remember, when you get to the island, you burn the boats. You have no other options, and we'll be right there with you to thrive. So I really appreciate the time, and thanks so much.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody out there. If you're super interested, DM me Blueprint. We will help you build something worth buying. Craig's been on. He's been freaking amazing. Check out our next podcast as well and scroll down to see all the social links to get into contact with Craig and the Genie team. Thank you, everyone. Have a fantastic rest of your day and happy holidays if I don't get a chance to talk to you between now and then.